The great hall of the Galactic Union was filled with light, voices, and pride. Thousands of alien leaders sat in high seats made of gold, stone, and steel. Each one represented a different species. Each one believed their kind was superior. In the middle of the room stood one figure, small, alone, and quiet. She was human. Captain Alara Gray stood tall in her Earth uniform. Her dark hair was tied back. Her hands rested at her sides. Her eyes, however, burned like fire. Whispers moved across the hall. Some aliens laughed. Others clicked their teeth or flashed colors from their skin. Earth was new, weak, poor. Many believed it had no right to be here. An old alien, tall and covered in blue feathers, stepped forward. He was called High Speaker Tranos, and his words often decided the fate of worlds. He raised one long finger and pointed at Alara. "Tell us, human," he said loudly, "what is Earth's apex predator?" The room grew quiet. Apex predator. The deadliest creature. The one thing that no other being can defeat. Some expected her to name a beast. A large, violent animal from Earth's jungles or oceans. Others expected her to remain silent, to show fear. But Alara did something no one expected. She stepped forward, slowly, calmly, and she raised her hand, just her hand, not in fear, not to ask for help, but with a smile. A small, cold smile that sent a chill across the room. She was the answer. She was Earth's apex predator. Silence spread like a storm. The alien leaders stared at her. None laughed now. High Speaker Tranos narrowed his eyes, but Alara said nothing. She let the silence speak for her. Years earlier, Alara had been chosen on Earth, not by vote, not by name. She was chosen by survival. She was one of only 3 children who lived through the Red Sky event, a secret alien attack covered up by Earth's highest agency. At age 10, she lost her family, her home, her childhood, but she never lost her will. The Earth Defense Authority raised her in silence, in shadows, in places where emotion was weakness and pain was normal. She trained harder than anyone. She bled more than any soldier. Her mind became her weapon. Her heart became her shield. She was not the strongest, not the fastest, but she was something different. She could see through lies. She could wait in silence. And she never broke. Not even once. Her instructors called her the Ghost, but Rian, her only friend, called her something else. Heart of Steel. Rian was her partner during the final trial before her mission to the Galactic Union. He was calm, kind, and careful. He saw something in Ilara that others missed. He saw her pain, her warmth, her hidden dreams, but she pushed him away. Love made people soft, and she couldn't afford to be soft. The day before her flight to the Union, Rian gave her a small gift, a necklace, simple, made of earthstone. "It's not for protection," he said. "It's a reminder that you're still human." She didn't speak. She just nodded, but she wore it. Even now, under her uniform. It rested near her heart, back in the Galactic Hall. A second alien stood. This one had skin like stone and eyes that glowed yellow. "She mocks us," he said. "A predator with no claws, no weapons." Another alien laughed. "A predator of what? Poetry." The laughter returned, softer this time. Uneasy.Elara lowered her hand. Then she spoke. "I am human," she said. Her voice was calm, but each word was sharp. "Earth doesn't have beasts that hunt for fun. We don't fly, we don't breathe fire, but we conquer." Her eyes moved across the room. "We don't stop when we're hunted. We learn, we adapt, and when we come back, we win." Silence again. No one dared interrupt her. Alara took one step closer to the center of the hall. "You asked what Earth's apex predator is." She pointed to her own chest. "You're looking at it. Somewhere above the hall, in a dark room behind one-way glass." Rian watched. He smiled. She raised her hand. He whispered, Of course she did. The council began to murmur. Words. In strange languages. Tones filled with worry. She had done something no one expected. She didn't show fear. She didn't explain. She didn't back down, and that was more terrifying than any creature. The High Speaker's feathers shifted. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. Prepare the trials. Elora turned, walking out of the hall as the doors closed behind her, and behind her, thousands of aliens whispered the same words. Why did she raise her hand? The stars above Earth were quiet. The night, Alara Gray, became something different. Not stronger, not faster, not smarter, but colder, harder, more human than human. It started with fire. She was only 10. Her home burned like a second sun, lighting the small mountain town where she once felt safe. Screams echoed through the valley. The ground trembled, and Alara stood still in the snow, her mother's necklace clenched in her shaking hand. Behind her, her world ended. Ahead of her, a new one waited. Without love, without mercy, without childhood. Hours earlier, it had been a normal night. Her father played the piano. Her mother read by the fire. Alara painted stars on the ceiling of her room. Then came the red flash in the sky. Then came the thunder that wasn't thunder. Then came the silence. The alien ship wasn't seen by anyone else. Only she remembered the strange blue light. Only she remembered the voice. Not a language, a feeling, a message. Run. But she didn't run. She walked toward the fire. That was the moment Earth changed her. That was the moment the Earth Defense Authority found her, inside a hidden underground facility. Far beneath Greenland's ice, Alara trained. No comfort, no rest, no softness. She was called Asset 47 by her trainers. She was told emotions are weakness. Tears were punished, smiles ignored. But every night, when no one was looking, she touched her necklace, and she remembered the music, her mother's laugh, her father's strong hands. She remembered love, and she promised never to feel it again. At age 16, she beat 4 elite soldiers in hand-to-hand combat. At 18, she passed the no-light test, surviving 6 days in a sealed room without food, sound, or light. At 20, she became the youngest operative in Earth's secret interstellar program. That's when she met Rian Hale. Rian wasn't like the others. He smiled easily. He asked questions. He listened. The first time he saw her fight, he said, "You move like you're not trying to survive. You move like you're already dead." She didn't answer. But something in her cracked that day. Not broken, cracked, enough to let light in. He trained beside her for years. Missions across moons, ruined space stations, ice planets. They bled together, saved each other, held each other, but never said the words. Until one mission went wrong. It was a rescue mission on a broken asteroid mine. The power failed. Oxygen ran low. Rian was trapped under a beam, bleeding, dying. Alara had 2 choices: complete the mission, or save him. She saved him, dragged him through fire, carried him through zero gravity, fought off attackers with 1 broken arm. When the shuttle finally picked them up, she collapsed beside him. He touched her hand, barely awake. "You love me, don't you?" She didn't answer. She couldn't. But she didn't let go of his hand either. Weeks later, she was chosen as Earth's representative. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't look back. She just left him, left Earth, left the part of herself that could still feel warmth, because she believed love made people soft, and she couldn't be soft anymore. Not where she was going now. Inside her private chamber, aboard the Union's space station. She sat alone. The council had given her quarters with a view of stars, but she didn't look at them. She sat on the cold floor, holding her mother's necklace. It still smelled like smoke. She closed her eyes, but didn't sleep. Memories came like whispers. Her mother's voice, Rian's broken smile. The question, what is Earth's apex predator? She had raised her hand without fear, but tonight, In silence, her fingers trembled. Just for a second, then stopped. She stood and walked to the mirror. Looked at herself. Not as Elara Gray, but as the answer to the galaxy's question. She touched the scar on her shoulder, a gift from her first mission. Then smiled. Not because she felt joy, but because she remembered who she was. She was born from fire. She was shaped by loss. And now, the stars would learn her name. Captain Elara Gray. Earth's warning. Earth's predator. And maybe, just maybe, Earth's last hope. Scene ends. A distant signal plays. A council trial is announced. She's been called to face something the galaxy fears. But Elara does not fear. She only waits, and watches, and plans. Because predators don't panic, they hunt. The cold silence of space surrounded the Galactic Union's battle arena. This was no ordinary trial. This was a warning, but they didn't understand yet. They thought it would be a lesson for Earth. Instead, it would become a lesson for the galaxy captain. Elara Gray stood alone on a metal platform, suspended above a deadly jungle planet known as Roktal. Thick green fog rolled across the surface. The planet growled from beneath, like something alive. She waited unmovian, above her, behind the reinforced glass. The council watched. High Speaker Tranos stood at the front. His voice echoed through the chamber. Let this trial determine if the human is worthy. He turned to the others. The beast of Roktal destroyed 4 outposts. It killed over 700 soldiers across 5 species. He looked down at her. Let us see how Earth's predator survives this. The glass walls shimmered. The force field lowered. The hunt began. Elara stepped off the platform and into the thick jungle. No gun, no armor, just a small tracking device clipped to her belt. And her heartbeat. It didn't race. It didn't shake. It simply beat. Calm. Focused, she moved slowly through the vines. Each step silent. Her eyes scanned everything. The beast was watching. She could feel it. It wasn't just large. It was clever. It waited. It tracked her from above. That was fine. She wasn't just clever. She was human. 30 minutes passed. She found the first bone pile, then the second, then a claw mark across a tree the size of a truck. Still, no sign of the creature. But she knew it was close. Elara stopped, near a muddy stream. She dipped her hand in the water and spread mud across her face to hide her scent, to become nothing, just another shadow in the jungle. Then it came. The ground shook, branches cracked, red eyes opened in the trees, and the silence shattered. The beast leaped down, massive, black scales, 6 legs, a mouthful of teeth. It roared so loud the trees bent. But Elara didn't run. She stood still. The beast charged at the last second. She rolled beneath it, slicing a vine as she moved. The creature slammed into a thick tree, tangled in vines. She didn't attack. She didn't scream. She disappeared, melted into the shadows, became the jungle. The creature roared again, angry now, but fear was growing behind its rage. It didn't understand what it was fighting, because Elara wasn't fighting like prey. She was fighting like something worse, something that plans, that learns, that waits. She was hunting the hunter. Up in the council chamber. Silence filled the room. Dozens of alien eyes watched screens in disbelief. She should be dead. One whispered. She's toying with it, said another. She's adapting. Tranos narrowed his eyes. This is not natural. Back on Roktal, Elara had set traps using nothing but vines, bones, and parts of her uniform. The beast charged again. It tripped, fell, got back up, bleeding from the leg. This time, it didn't attack. It circled, careful, confused. Elara stood in front of it. Calm. Eyes steady. She spoke, even though it wouldn't understand. You've killed others. She took a step closer. But you've never met a human. Another step. We don't give up. Another. We don't run. She stopped. We become what we need to survive. The beast screamed and leaped right into the final trap, a pit, covered with broken metal and sharpened wood. The creature fell in, crashing down. It moved once, twice, then stopped, dead. Elara climbed out of the jungle. Her uniform was torn, her arms were bruised, but her eyes were clear. She stood on the platform once again. The beast's body was dragged behind her by drones. The council stared at her through the glass. She looked up, raised her hand. Again, not in pride, but as a reminder. This was the first warning. Back inside the council building, chaos had begun. Some called for tests, others called for protection. A few whispered what they truly feared. If one human can do this, what happens when they all come? Far away, inside a small chamber, Rian Hale watched the footage alone. He saw her face. She looked different, harder, sharper, like she had buried something inside. He touched the screen. She's forgetting who she is, but his voice trembled, because he wasn't sure anymore. Was she losing herself, or becoming who she was always meant to be? Elara sat alone that night, watching the stars from her chamber window. She didn't feel pride. She didn't feel fear. She only felt silence. Then she heard a soft voice through her comms device. Rian, I saw what you did. A pause. I don't know if I should be proud or scared. Another pause. I miss you. She didn't answer. She couldn't. She only closed her eyes and held the necklace again. Because even apex predators have hearts. They just don't always know how to use them. The galaxy had seen its first warning. But this was just the beginning. Because Elara Grey wasn't here to impress them. She was here to change everything. Elara Grey had killed the beast. She had passed the trial, and the galaxy now feared Earth. But as she stood before the council, her eyes were not focused on the aliens. They were focused on a reflection, her own, a woman made of steel, a weapon of silence, a shadow in human skin. But deep inside, there was something else, something soft, something broken, something that still whispered his name, Rian. The council hall erupted in debate. Species that once mocked Earth now begged for information. What else could humans do? How many more like Elara existed? What did Earth want? High Speaker Tranos leaned forward. She was not just trained, he said. She was shaped. Another alien replied. By what? Tranos answered with a single word. Loss. Inside her private quarters, Elara sat on the floor. She didn't eat. She didn't rest. She just stared at the wall, eyes wide open. A silent war was taking place, one between memory and mission, and memory was winning. The communicator beside her blinked. A message. From him. She hesitated, then tapped it. Rian's voice filled the room. I shouldn't be contacting you, but I had to. His voice shook slightly. You saved the galaxy from that beast. But who's saving you? A pause. Elara, I know you. You don't want to become what they're turning you into. Another pause. This one longer. I still wear the bracelet you gave me, even though you pretended you forgot. She closed her eyes. Her fingers trembled. She hadn't forgotten. She never forgot. Flashback. A training facility under Antarctica. Frozen winds outside. Flashing lights inside. Elara and Rian stood in a sparring ring, breathing hard, bruised, laughing. It was rare for her to laugh, but that day, she did. He gave her a small bracelet made of braided metal and solar wire. This way, he said, no matter how far we go, we remember Earth. She didn't speak, but she wore it until the day she left. Now, sitting alone among alien stars, she pulled the old bracelet from her bag, worn, scratched, burned, but still holding its shape, just like her. Later that day, a high-ranking alien general visited her, tall, skin like crystal, eyes like ice. He offered her a new mission, one that would erase Earth's name from history books. A classified operation. One no human had ever done before. If you succeed, he said, you will become legend. Ilara stared at him, then asked only one question. Will Rian be on the team? The general frowned. He's not like you. He feels too much. She smiled. Just a little. I feel everything. I've just learned to wear armor over it. That night, she stood by the large window of her chamber. Stars glowed like tiny memories. The door opened. She didn't turn. She didn't have to. She knew it was him. Rian stepped into the room. No uniform. No rank. Just a man. Just the only one who ever saw her soul. Ilara, he said gently, I saw the footage. The traps. The beast. The silence after. She turned. Slowly. I did what I had to. He walked closer. Maybe. But every time you fight, I see you disappear a little more. She didn't argue. Because it was true. I'm not soft like you, Rian, she said. He laughed softly. Don't lie. You're the softest person I know. That's why it hurts so much to see you pretend. She looked at him. And for once, she let her mask fall, just for a moment. I don't know who I am anymore, she whispered. He stepped closer. You're still you. I see it. I feel it. Even if the rest of the galaxy can't. She blinked fast, fighting the tears. Then she stepped forward, placed her forehead against his. No words, just closeness, just warmth, just two hearts. Tired of being weapons, but the peace didn't last. The next day the mission was announced, and Ilara had been chosen. A mission to recover a lost artifact on a cursed planet, a planet where no one returned. The price of turning it down. Earth's removal from the Galactic Union. She didn't hesitate. She said yes. But as she walked out of the room, Rian grabbed her arm. I'm going with you. She paused. I can't promise we'll come back. He looked into her eyes. I'm not going for the mission. I'm going for you. The ship left the next morning, to humans. One heart, already broken. One still trying to remember how to beat Dot, and both carrying more than weapons. They carried something, stronger love, even if they didn't dare speak its name. A storm was coming. Not to Earth, not to the galaxy, but to the heart of one woman, Captain Ilara Grey, half steel, half sorrow, and slowly learning that even monsters can love. The stars above Cryon 9 were cold, dead silent, but something below was worse. Ilara Grey stepped off the ship with Rian at her side. This was the most feared planet in the galaxy, once home to a powerful species. Now nothing but ruin and silence. Every team sent here before had vanished. No signals, no bodies, no clues. And now, it was their turn. The mission was simple. Enter. Locate the lost artifact. Extract it. Return. But simplicity never survives in places where death sleeps. As they walked across the gray ground, black towers loomed in the fog. Old, broken, but still breathing with power. The kind of power that didn't belong to any known species. Rian scanned the air. No birds, no insects, not even wind. Ilara nodded. Something watches here, but it's not alive. Not in the way we understand. He looked at her. You're not scared? She didn't answer, because fear had left her long ago, inside the ruins. The halls were wide and silent. Symbols glowed faintly along the walls. Ancient, alien, wrong. They moved in silence. Ilara led Rian, watched her back. Hours passed. Then, sound. Distant, metallic, like something dragged across stone. They stopped. It came. Again. Closer. Rian raised his weapon. Ilara didn't. She stepped forward. Her instincts were screaming, but not in fear, in hunger. Something ahead was testing her. Something that wanted to know if she was prey or predator. The corridor split into two paths. They took the left. Darkness swallowed them, but Ilara's eyes had adjusted. She saw movement, not fast, just enough to let her know they weren't alone. Then it appeared tall, thin, silent. Its body flickered like broken glass. Its face was a mirror. Elara stared at it. It stared back. Then it changed. The face shifted into her own cold, bloodied, empty. Rian gasped. It's mimicking you. Elara stepped forward. I think it's choosing what to become, based on what it sees in us. She looked into her reflection, and hated what she saw. A killer, a shadow, a weapon made of flesh. The creature tilted its head. It smiled, then it attacked. The room shook. Rian opened fire, but the bullets passed through. Elara didn't shoot. She closed her eyes, listened, then ran straight at it. The creature swiped. She ducked, slid under, planted a charge at its leg. It screamed, an unearthly sound that bent the air. But it wasn't dying, it was adapting. Rian shouted, fall back. They ran into another chamber, sealed the door behind them, breathing heavy, covered in dust. Rian looked at her. We're not just facing a monster. She nodded. We're facing a reflection. Hours passed. They searched deeper. The artifact was close. A cube of shifting black light. Floating in air, it pulsed. Like a heartbeat. Elara approached. It responded to her. Opened slightly. Showed her a vision. Earth on fire. Ruined. Humans fighting humans. Rian dead. She stepped back. This isn't just an artifact. She whispered. It's a mirror, a memory, a weapon. Then the ground cracked. The creature returned. Stronger, faster. Now, it looked like both of them. Elara didn't hesitate. She pulled Rian behind cover. I'll distract it. You get the artifact. He grabbed her arm. Double quotes. No. We do this together. She stared at him. Her heart screamed to protect him, but her mind said no. Then he leaned in, touched her face gently. I didn't come for the mission. He stepped closer. I came for you. She shook her head. You'll die. He smiled. Then I'll die beside the only person I've ever loved. She froze. Those words, they broke something inside her, and in that breaking, she remembered who she was. Not a weapon, not a predator. A human, but with love. The final battle was chaos. She moved like lightning. He fought by her side. Together they outsmarted the creature, led it into the chamber. She used the cube, reflected the creature's image back at it. It froze, shivered, and screamed as it shattered. The mirror couldn't face itself, and then it was over. Silence again. But this time, not empty. This silence carried peace as they returned to the ship. The cube in hand, Elara looked at Rian. I'm not ready for love. He smiled. Then I'll wait. She held his hand, not tightly, just enough to say she wasn't alone anymore, and that maybe. The strongest predator isn't the one who kills the monster. It's the one who refuses to become one. They survived the cursed world, but something deeper had changed in her, in him, and maybe in the galaxy, because predators can love, and love is the most dangerous thing of all. The cube from Cryanine pulsed softly inside a containment case. It no longer screamed, no longer showed visions, but Elara Gray could still feel it, alive, waiting, and somehow connected to her. The ship returned to the Galactic Union. Elara and Rian stepped into the council chamber once again. But this time, there was no laughter, no mocking, only silence, the kind of silence that follows fear. High Speaker Tranos stood before her, feathers dimmed. You survived Cryanine. That alone is impossible. Elara didn't respond. She placed the cube on the table in front of him. The light from it touched the walls. Alien leaders flinched. Tranos stepped closer. You brought it back. But at what cost? Elara looked at him, then looked around the hall, and spoke the words the galaxy wasn't ready to hear. The cost was truth. The room held its breath. Elara walked to the center. Her voice was calm, each word chosen, precise. You all feared Earth would bring war. You feared we would rise too quickly, that we would threaten your order. She paused. Your fears were right, but not for the reason you think. The council stirred, she continued, because the truth is, Earth didn't ask to be part of this. You brought us in. You tested us. You sent the Red Sky attack to judge if we were worth shaping. Gasps spread across the room. Rian's eyes widened. You what? Ilara's voice didn't shake. I found the files inside the cube. It holds memories. Not just from Cryo9, from Earth. From the ones who tested us. From the ones who killed my parents. She looked directly at Tranos. You knew. The high speaker stayed silent. His feathers twitched. His eyes lowered. But he didn't deny it. Rian stepped forward. You knew about the attack. You let innocent people die. Tranos finally spoke. We had to know. We had to see if Earth would break or evolve. He raised his voice, and she didn't break. He pointed at Ilara. She became what no one else could. A soldier, a predator, a survivor. Ilara stepped closer, but I didn't become that. Because of you, I became that, in spite of you. She took a breath. And I'm done letting you shape what I am. The room grew tense. Guards stepped forward, weapons raised, but Ilara didn't flinch. She pulled something from her suit, a small device, a transmission. Beacon, she held it high. I sent everything the cube showed me back to Earth. It's already been seen, by governments, by the people. She looked at them all. You don't get to write our story anymore. The guards froze. The council sat back. Even Tranos looked shaken, because for the first time, they had no control. Later, alone in a quiet chamber, Ilara sat beside Rian. He didn't speak. He just watched her. She finally broke the silence. I thought I had to be the weapon. I thought being strong meant letting go of everything soft, everything human. He reached out, took her hand. Maybe strength isn't about what you kill. Maybe it's about what you keep alive. She looked at him, for the first time in years. Her eyes filled with tears, not from pain, from release, from the weight she no longer had to carry alone. That night, she recorded a message. Not for the council, not for the galaxy, for Earth. Her voice was steady. My name is Captain Ilara Gray. I was once told that Earth needed a predator, that we had to prove we were strong. But strength isn't just blood. It's not just battle. She looked into the camera. It's the choice to love, to trust, to fight for more than survival. A pause. To every child out there who lost family, who feels broken, who's told to be hard. Her voice softened. You don't have to become a monster to survive. You can still be human. She ended the recording and let it go, released it into the stars. Into every network, into every world. The next morning, Ilara stood once again in front of the council, but this time, the power in the room had shifted. They no longer held her future. She held theirs. Tranos looked tired. What now, human? She smiled. I don't know. She looked at Rian standing by her side. But for once, I think I'd like to choose for myself. As she left the hall, the guards moved aside. Aliens whispered, not in fear, in respect, because they didn't just see a predator anymore. They saw something rarer, a leader, a survivor, a woman who had walked through fire and still remembered how to feel. The truth had been spoken. The galaxy had changed, and Ilara, she wasn't finished. Because the hardest part wasn't surviving, it was choosing who to become. Once you do, the stars were quiet, not from fear, from peace. For the first time in decades, no council meeting was called. No weapons were drawn. No warnings were sent. The war never came. Because Ilara Gray chose something else, something stronger than war. She stood on a balcony above the Galactic Union's central city. It was sunrise, not Earth's sun, but the sky still turned gold. Soft light touched the glass towers. The world felt calm. Behind her, the door opened. Footsteps. Rian. She didn't turn. She didn't have to. He joined her at the edge of the balcony, looking out at the light. His voice gentle. They offered you power again, didn't they? She nodded. Full control of Earth's future. Seat on the High Council. A fleet in my name. He smiled faintly. And what did you say? She looked at him. I said no. Alara walked with Rian through the city that day. No guards, no uniforms, just two people. No longer weapons, no longer experiments, just human. Aliens passed them. Some bowed, some simply watched. All respected her now, not because of what she destroyed, but because of what she chose not to. They entered the memorial hall. Inside, holograms floated of every species who had suffered during the wars. Names, faces, moments. Alara walked to the corner where Earth's display stood. She touched the glass. A photo appeared. Her family. Before the fire. Before the trials. Before the galaxy made her into what she became. Rian stepped beside her. I never asked, he said. What would they think of who you are now? She paused, then answered. They'd say, I made it through. But they'd ask why I never came home. Her voice cracked slightly. I think I forgot what home felt like. He turned to her. Then, let's build it. She looked up at him. Where? He smiled. Wherever you want. Later that week, Earth's leaders contacted her. The message was public, broadcast across stars. You are our first voice among the stars, but you are not our last. Come home, share what you've seen, help us grow, not in fear, but in hope. Alara read it twice, then looked at Rian. I want to go back. He nodded. I'll follow. Their ship rose above the Union planet, light reflecting off its sides. Alara sat in the front seat, eyes fixed on the growing stars ahead. Rian sat beside her. Neither spoke. Words weren't needed. Their silence held more truth than speeches. A voice from Earth broke through the speakers. Captain Gray, welcome home. Her eyes softened. She whispered back. Not Captain, just Alara. They landed on Earth 3 days later. The air smelled different, fresher. Real people gathered near the landing pad. Not with weapons, with flowers. Children waved flags. Elders wiped tears. They didn't welcome a soldier. They welcomed a daughter, a symbol, a survivor. Months passed. Alara didn't speak at rallies. She didn't run for power. She taught in small classrooms, 2 young minds, about the stars, the darkness, and the light they could choose instead. She told them, you don't have to become a monster to survive. You can still be kind. You can still love. That's what makes us different. Rian built a home near the ocean. Not large, not fancy, but peaceful. Elara grew a garden. She had never planted anything before, but the soil felt honest. One evening, as the sun dipped into the waves, Rian knelt beside her, pulled something from his pocket, simple, a ring. Metal from cryonine, melted with earth stone. No words, just the look in his eyes. She said yes before he even asked. Years passed. Their love didn't grow louder. It grew quieter, stronger, built on silence, trust, and memories no one else would understand. Alara never wore her medals. She wore the bracelet. She wore her mother's necklace, and she wore the ring. 3 pieces of a life once shattered, now whole. And every year, on the same day, she visited the stars again, not to fight, not to fear, but to remember, to remind the galaxy that when they asked, who is Earth's apex predator, she raised her hand, not because she was proud, but because she had survived, and because deep down, she had never stopped being human. Her story became legend, but her love became truth, because the heart, when it refuses to turn cold, is stronger than any war.